everybody, back on the air. We've got some breaking news out of the Devon Archer testimony today. Just devastating news for Joe Biden when you get right down to it. This is from Just the News, John Solomon's group. A must-go-to place. You should bookmark this. Just the News. Headline: Devon Archer of Congress Burisma pressured Hunter Biden to deal with Ukrainian prosecutor. Yes, the Ukrainian prosecutor. Remember Joe Biden? We're going to show you the video of Joe Biden talking about this, but let's just get directly what he says, and I'll show you the video. Devon Archer delivered bombshell testimony to Congress on Monday, telling lawmakers that Burisma Holdings pressured Hunter Biden in a December 2015 deal with the Ukrainian prosecutor who was investigating the firm for corruption shortly before the then vice president took steps to force the prosecutor's firing. A source directly familiar with the transcribed interview just told Just the News. Folks, this is the smoking gun. And just to remind you, here's Joe Biden loading the pistol.
I got all the good ones. So I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv. And
first of all, note, Joe Biden spent 12, 13 times in Kyiv in 3 years. 12 or 13 times in 3 years. That's incredible. That's incredible in and of itself. But let's continue.
And I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Well, there you go, son of a bitch. The prosecutor got fired. And so, once again, Devon Archer, what did Devon Archer said? He said that the Ukrainian prosecutor, once again, Burisma Holdings pressured Hunter Biden in December 2015 to deal with a Ukrainian prosecutor who was investigating the firm for corruption shortly before the then vice president took steps to force the prosecutor's firing. Why was Hunter Biden hired? Well, Hunter Biden was hired because of that ability. And guess what? It was all about money. Because Burisma wanted to get into the U.S. natural gas market. They wanted to get it, and they had a corruption problem, and they couldn't get into the U.S. natural gas market with the corruption problem. And as a result, they had to get rid of the prosecutor. And Joe Biden pulled the trigger on the prosecutor. For those of you who don't remember, Poroshenko was the Ukrainian president who came in really in direct relationship to Joe Biden's intervention and suggestion, according to Joe Biden's own book, that his predecessor leave office. And secondly, not incoincidentally, Poroshenko commented, according to some other documents that have been released, Poroshenko made it clear that he didn't believe Shokin had done anything to just deserve being fired. So we have the smoking gun now. We have a direct tie-in on this. Let's just take a look. This came from, let's look at the 1023. What that is this is the document that was a confidential source that talked about Joe Biden, the direct link to Joe Biden and money, where a Burisma executive was complaining about it. It was released by Chuck Grassley a couple of weeks ago. And this is it. Now I'm going to just go in directly to it because you can't read that. Page 1 essentially does the setup in terms of it. But it talks specifically about the meeting that is referred to by Devon Archer in Vienna, Austria in 2016. At the bottom of page 1, you move to page 2. 2 months after the aforementioned Burisma meeting in Ukraine, which was the end of 2015, beginning of 2016, CHS, Confidential Human Source, traveled to Vienna, Austria with Ostapenko, who was the CFO of the company, and met with Mykola Zlochevsky. Zlochevsky was the CEO of the company at an outside coffee shop. The trio continued to talk about the feasibility of Burisma acquiring a U.S.-based entity. CHS recalled Confidential Human Source, not Corona High School or something else, or Calvert High School. Confidential Human Source recalled this meeting took place about around the time Joe Biden made a public statement about former Ukrainian Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin being corrupt and that he should be fired, removed from office. CHS told Zlochevsky that due to Shokin's investigation of Burisma, which was made public at the time, it would have a substantial negative impact on Burisma's prospective IPO in the United States. Zlochevsky replied something to the effect, "Don't worry, Hunter will take care of all those issues through his dad." So guess what conversation occurred when that Zlochevsky could say this so confidently, when perhaps Hunter and his dad went into a private room and had a conversation with the Burisma folk, separate from Devon Archer. CHS did not ask any further questions about what that specifically meant. CHS asked Zlochevsky why Burisma would pay 20 to 30 million to buy a U.S. company for IPO purposes when it would be cheaper to just form a new entity to purchase the corporate shell that was already listed. Zlochevsky responded that Hunter Biden advised Burisma could raise much more capital if Burisma purchased a larger U.S.-based business and a history of U.S. oil in the U.S. oil and gas sector. That was actually good advice. CHS recalled Zlochevsky mentioned some U.S.-based businesses, blah, blah, blah. Get to the bottom, Confidential Human Source suggested it'd be best if Burisma simply litigate their legal matter in the Ukraine and pay some attorney $50,000. Zlochevsky said Burisma would likely lose the trial because he could not show that Burisma was innocent. Telling. Zlochevsky also laughed at CHS number 50,000, not because of the small amount, but because the number contained a 5, and said it cost, quote unquote, it cost $5 million to pay one Biden and $5 million to another Biden. CHS noted that at this time, it was unclear to CHS whether these alleged payments were already made. So, folks, that is why this is a smoking gun, because you have the vice president on tape bragging about getting it done while he was vice president. You have a confidential human source talking very specifically about providing the information in terms of what exactly happened. And you have Devon Archer now confirming that a call occurred. Let's go back to the primary Devon Archer piece, okay? Because it gets into more detail. Devon Archer testified that value-adding Hunter Biden to Burisma's board was the brand, and confirmed that then Vice President Joe Biden brought the most value to the brand, tying directly the Hunter Biden getting paid to the brand value, and Joe Biden being the real reason that Hunter Biden had any brand value whatsoever. Archer also stated Burisma would have gone under if not for the brand. So Joe Biden was saving, through his lending his name to it, was saving the company. Archer also directly contradicted Joe Biden's long-held claims. He never met with Hunter Biden's foreign business associates. On the committee, America's current president got on speakerphone more than 20 times with his son's business clients. That was actually kind of reported about maybe a week ago by Miranda Devine in the New York Post, another great source on this. Archer testified that Joe Biden did not engage in business specifics on such calls. Instead, he was put on the phone to sell the brand. Okay, let me tell you what that means. This is really fun. What that means is the Godfather never gives the order. The Godfather just lets the people know that he's listening, he's paying attention. So if you're sitting there and you're on the phone, you say, Hunter, you just pulling my leg. Well, let me put you on the phone with Dad. Yeah, I'm really happy to hear you're working with my son Hunter, and it's really important to me. And we've got I understand the weather's a little cloudy over there, and I'm just I'm paying attention to what's going on, and just let me know. Hunter, here, have the phone back. Yeah, Dad's paying attention. You better get it done. You see, that's all that is. Build the brand value. The brand value was Joe Biden Joe Biden wasn't brand value for any other reason, but because he could do things like you can get your $1 billion loan guarantee, or you cannot get your $1 billion loan guarantee. Depends on what I say. It's a thin separation, but a separation. But anybody who knows what's going on knows exactly what happened. We talk about brand value, what that means. It means that when necessary, Dad got on the phone and confirmed that, yeah, I know what's going on. My son isn't just blowing smoke. No matter blowing smoke from whatever he's smoking that particular day. The former business partner is Rosemont Seneca firm. Now, Devon Archer was also business partner with Rosemont Seneca, which was the investment firm that did business in China, who was convicted in 2018 of tribal bond fraud scheme. Also told lawmakers that Hunter Biden was pressured in late 2015 to help deal with prosecutor Victor Shokin's corruption investigations. Joe Biden was preparing to travel to Ukraine. Okay, this is a recap of upstairs of what we talked about. In December 2015, Mykola Shlovkevsky, the owner of Burisma, and Vladimir Pozarskyi, executive of Burisma, placed constant pressure on Hunter Biden to get help from D.C. regarding the Ukrainian prosecutor. Direct confirmation of the CHS, the confidential human source claim. The source explained. Recounting Archer's testimony. Shokin was investigating Burisma for corruption. Hunter Biden, along with Shlovkevsky and Pozarskyi, called D.C. to discuss the matter. Biden, Shlovkevsky, and Pozarskyi stepped away to make the call. That's the call. That's the call that we just read about in the report. I'll just go back to that. That's the call. So when you get down to it, you have a direct confirmation that this call took place, and that don't worry, Hunter will take care of all these issues through his dad. It nails those two things together. It's no longer, they're going to have to say that everybody's lying at this point. So let's go back. A few days after that meeting, Joe Biden visited Ukraine. As vice president, began an effort to force Ukraine's president to fire Shokin, and eventually threatened to withhold $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees if the termination didn't happen. Something which we would not be able to confirm if Joe Biden wasn't a loudmouth jerk who had to brag about it. And isn't that the way of it? These guys, these kind of bully loudmouth jerks, they always have to tell somebody about how powerful they were, how great they are. And son of a bitch, it gets them every time. So that's what we're looking at. Began an effort to force Ukraine's president to fire Shokin. Biden's defenders have long maintained the fire was not related to Burisma, and it was a result of U.S. policy because Obama administration felt Shokin was corrupt. Now, understand, Shokin can still be corrupt, although Shokin claims he's not corrupt, and who would say, gee whiz, I'm corrupt. But Shokin might or might not have been corrupt. What we do know is that Burisma, through this confidential informant, when asked, why don't you just pay some attorney $50,000? Shlovkevsky, who's CEO of Burisma, said he'd likely lose the trial because he did not show that Burisma was innocent, kind of admitting that they were corrupt and that they couldn't show they weren't corrupt. So in fact, they couldn't withstand a trial, which is why they had to get rid of the prosecutor. So Archer also testified in the spring of 2014. Then Vice President Biden attended a business dinner with his son Hunter and his business associate Coffee in Milano in Washington, D.C. Nice place, where the Russian oligarch Elena Berberini attended. Following Archer's testimony, New York Democrat Representative Goldman told the reporters that Archer recalled her speaking with his father every day on the phone. He approximately that about 20 times over the course of his 10-year business relationship he had with Hunter Biden, which would be about twice a year. That Hunter would put his father on speakerphone with whomever was at dinner, and there was no indication he had any idea who was at dinner with them, according to Goldman's account of Archer's testimony. Okay, so the Democrats say, well, Hunter talked to his dad all the time, and every time he talked to him, he didn't put somebody was shaking down for money on the phone, just some of the time. And because Archer brings up 24 times, you should discount the 24 times because he talked to his dad a lot on the phone. I don't know, man. It seems to me, you can sit. It's like saying, well, I drove down this same road and I followed the speed limit, 75 times, and I only violated the speed limit 10 times. So why should you get upset about the 10 times? I mean, the 75 times I was talking about the health of the family dog. It's just, it's just absurd. But that's the breaking news. That's what matters. And that's what we wanted to bring to you, because it is, this is what we now have a direct tie-in on something that everybody knows about, of where you can say, okay, here's the conversation that occurred. That in a time frame about Burisma, here's the confidential human source saying that this was what was discussed, and here's the outcome. Quid pro quo, and money changing hands. It is a direct, it has nothing to do with getting a good guy in. It has everything to do with Shokin was a problem for Burisma. That's what it had to do. And that was standing in the way of Burisma being able to do some other things. So, folks, that's where it is. We're going to go to the chats here and just see what we got. If you're interested in continuing following this, and please share this with people. It's important people see this. If you can just share and like the videos, that makes a huge difference. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe so you get notifications as we go on, because we're sometimes going on at short notice. Plus, we put up a lot of other good video content that I think you guys will enjoy. Let's just see Robert Romano from our own staff here. If you scroll down, you can read the Archer testimony from the transcript. Okay. I think you're saying that to me, but we're, let's see here. If you scroll all the way down on this, somewhere in here is the Archer testimony from the transcript. I don't know where it is. Robert apparently does. Okay. So, but if you go to Just the News, they typically will put the actual transcript so you can read the whole testimony. It's good. It's a good resource. Let's see. Yeah, he was involved with Hunter's business, and I think it's reasonable. We have this, but the Budarini one is interest also. That's Moscow's. That was the Moscow mayor's wife. Apparently didn't get much out of that besides the fact that Hunter was put on the. We know that somebody who gave Hunter Biden a bunch of money, and some estimate in the above $100 million, but gave Hunter Biden a bunch of money, did in fact have a conversation with Joe Biden. We do not know the contents of that conversation, but we do know that there was a conversation between one of the Russian oligarchs who gave a lot of money to Hunter with Joe Biden, with the guy who built the brand. Let's see what else we have. China got into America oil through Biden's. Well, China certainly got a lot of our strategic oil reserves through the Bidens. There's no doubt about that. And now they're saying, oh, we probably aren't going to be able to replenish those reserves in the next 20 years because the price of oil's gone up. And remember, the Democrats were the ones who said to President Trump when oil was $20 a barrel, when he wanted to top off the tanks and the oil reserves. No, that's just a giveaway to the oil companies. So buying the oil at $20 a barrel was a giveaway to the oil companies, but letting the Chinese have it when oil's high and in demand, and letting them have it at a discount price was somehow okay. Let's say here. Okay, fake news. Are you going to say that this is all not true? You're going to be truthful and tell the truth on the subject. Bob Gilmore. How about if you follow the evidence, Bob, and actually pay attention? So no, I'm not going to say it's not all true because it happens to be true. But thank you for playing. Impeach him now, Angelica Creeps. Sorry if I mispronounced. If the House and Senate make the choice to ignore this convention, states now remove everyone who's bought and paid for, trying to start over America. Unfortunately, I don't know the world can stand America starting back over in a lot of different ways. But I think cleaning house, there's some cleaning house that needs to be done either way. Okay, I'm not going to go. I'm happy to put any posts up, but don't use foul language, and I'll take it down if I see it. Why isn't he locked up yet? Well, he's not locked up because here's the thing: we've got to. the Republicans have been building a case. They've been building a case over time. They're going to have testimony by a guy named Tony Bobulinski, who was CEO of this enterprise, and they'll have his testimony as well. They're going to get money records out of the Treasury Department that show the money flows through the various 13 banks, 20 shell corporations. They're going to put together a case that cannot be denied, and that is part of this impeachment investigation. And they're going to do that, but now with this Devon Archer testimony, they have the ability to tie one string together entirely. And somebody could say, well, they could try to push at it, but it's a pretty compelling string that is difficult to undo. So that's what they have now. And this will be, the building block for the rest of it. And the killer on it is this. Just to get down to it, once again, you have a former vice president who doesn't think he's ever running for office again, getting paid undoubtedly to speak in front of the Council on Foreign Relations and bragging about his various accomplishments. And remember, Joe Biden in 2017, nobody thought Joe Biden would be the nominee in 2020, and certainly not the president in 2021. He was aged out. He wasn't particularly, they didn't look at him as being particularly smart or valuable. But so he gets up, and knowing that, he had to tell his corn pop story about he took down that tough dude corn pop. Well, here you go. This is him telling the story that I believe ends his presidency eventually.
I got all the good ones. So I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team or others to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time. Well, there's still, they made.
Okay, so here you go. That's it. That he's bragging about getting that done. And now we know he got paid. Okay. Now we know it was a direct relationship to his son getting paid. The Biden family got paid. The only hook that the Democrats have with this is you don't have any proof that Joe Biden got paid, except for the confidential human source saying that Biden got $5 million. This Joe Biden vice president guy who's now president. So, folks, we're going to find out a lot more. We'll keep you informed on it. But this is a very bad day in the Biden White House, and it should be. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe and share. People need to see this. Thank you. Bye-bye.